everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing Black Mirror Season 5, okay? Now streaming on the Netflix platform. So everyone and their baby mama wanted to release all the good TV shows on Wednesday, so I apologize. I've been MIA, so I'm severely backed up in all the videos that I have to give to you guys. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit different in order to consolidate and not to spam you guys as much these next few days as I release content. We're going to do the non-spoiler review and also the spoiler review of the season in this episode. So just giving a quick high-level overview of how I felt about Season 5 Black Mirror. So for those of you who have not watched Black Mirror, it's basically an anthology series that's based on the dark consequences of technology as they kind of relate them into real life circumstances. And so the good thing is, if you've never watched Black Mirror, you can definitely start with this season because every episode is different. The only things that you might not be able to grasp is that some of the technology that is used has come from previous episodes. But other than that, you are free to just watch this season and then go back to the other seasons. But all I would say is, if you're going to start with season 1, do not start with the first episode, because you would just be like, Sharana, what the hell did you just make me watch? So I always tell people, just don't start with that episode, watch like another episode, then come back to that episode, and then people tend to understand, yeah, like I totally understand why you told me not to watch that. So going into Season 5, we have 3 episodes. Yes, only 3 episodes. Y'all made us wait. I feel like my whole life passed me by waiting on this new season, and you only gave me 3 episodes. And I know what you guys are going to say, but they gave us Bandersnatch last year. I don't care. That was a movie. That's like a whole separate thing that was going on. I don't care. I need you to run me my extra episodes, because I don't know why it took this long just to put out 3 episodes. So overall, for me, the season is more so kind of a mixed bag. Only because while the shows are very shocking as we get into Striking Vipers, the first episode, and then some have a real clear message and kind of relates a little bit closer to Black Mirror, will be the Smithereens episode. That's episode 2. And then episode 3 with Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. That was entertaining, but it was still kind of just like, I don't know if this is really Black Mirror. And so for me, while I appreciate the casting that they did with this season, it almost seems to me that Black Mirror is more caught up of its star appeal than actually telling these dark stories with this technology. And I feel as though, you know, before this used to be a British TV show, and then it came over into America, and so now we've been streaming the episodes through Netflix. I feel as the years have gone by, that is really losing the essence of what Black Mirror was, because to be honest, I can't even watch Black Mirror at night because it's so creepy when all of the scenarios play out and you see how technology has something to do with it. I was always scared and shook. I was just like, I can't watch this ish at night. I have to watch it during the day. But for this season, I felt as though that it was really light. And I think after watching the episodes, you'll understand what I'm saying. And for those of you who have been watching Black Mirror since day 1, I think you could kind of relate to what I'm trying to say overall. Now, do I think it's worth streaming? I definitely do. It's 3 episodes. As I said, the episodes are all entertaining for me. I didn't feel as though that I wasted my life away. I think that some of the episodes do have very great performances in them as well. But for season 6, I really do want them to get back to the basics of what Black Mirror was, why so many people were captivated by Black Mirror, scared by Black Mirror, why it basically has you talking. And while this season does that, I don't necessarily think that it has everyone talking for the right reasons per se. So that's really me being vague. Overall, if I have to rate these episodes, Striking Vipers was my favorite. Really, in the order as the season played out, it would be Striking Vipers, Smithereens, and then Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. That's really my ranking for this season of Black Mirror. But I need to talk spoilers because I feel like I'm being very vague about this season. I really need to get into the nitty-gritty of the episodes, and I really didn't want to give any spoilers away because I really want everyone to go into it without any context whatsoever, because that's how I went into this season. I didn't watch any promo. I didn't watch the trailers for each episode. I really wanted to just go in blind, and I'm very happy that I did. So we're talking spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, pause the video, go watch the episodes, then come back to this video. Don't try to say that I spoiled anything because I gave you ample amount of time to click away from the video. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Striking Vipers. Y'all, this episode had me like, like, I didn't know where this episode was going. We see the beginning of the episode. As we have the characters, we know Anthony Mackie, he plays Danny. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II plays Carl, and then Nicole Bahari, she plays Theo. And so we're introduced to Theo and Danny as they're kind of role playing at the bar. They're a couple, and I thought that the chemistry for them, I was like, oh, look at this black glove on this screen. They're so cute. And so then we see Yahya, his character, Carl, who has this atrocious wig. I was like, y'all make all this money. Y'all couldn't get no good wig. He just had to have like dreads. You could just have him like maybe have like just his hair grown out a little bit. I don't know. I just felt like the wig choice, it was too much for me. After I stopped laughing, I could carry on with the plot as we see that they're all roommates. Theo and Danny, they share one room, and Carl's in the other room. And we see the two, Carl and Danny, they're good friends from school. They're playing a video game, Striking Vipers. So we really don't understand the significance of Striking Vipers as we see that this is the title and this is also the game that they're playing until we fast forward 11 years into the now present. As we see that Theo and Danny are now married, they're living the suburban life. They have a child, and we see that they're having a barbecue for Danny's birthday. And he seems to be really going through a midlife crisis. He seems very disengaged. He seems depressed. Like he's really just going through the motions, and it almost seems as though as that spark, that chemistry that we saw between Theo and Danny at the beginning of the episode, that's completely gone. They're just going through the motions of marriage and also to being parents. And so we see that Carl shows up to the birthday party. They haven't seen each other in a very long time, and so he gives him this game, this new version of Striking Vipers, is virtual reality experience, the technology that we see from USS McAllister. We see that he gives them this new game. And so everything seems to be going fine until the two, they decide to play the games. You can play it from your house, their house, at their own separate places. And so they start playing this game, and I was just like, oh snap. They have this new VR technology that as you're in this fighting game, as you're fighting one another, you can actually feel the hits, the impacts, everything. So you're getting the full experience of what your avatars are actually going through as you're playing the game. So I was just like, okay, this is some cool technology. Has some cool visuals as they have this Mortal Kombat Street Fighter type of vibe that's going to it. Then also to the characters for that, Palm, I don't want to mess up her last name, but you know her as Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. She plays Roxette, which is Carl's avatar. And then you also have Ludi Lin, who is playing Lance. So these are the same avatars that they were playing as they were kind of these young college friends. So they're playing the same avatars in the present. And so they're fighting. You're seeing all this action and stuff. So I'm like, okay, like where the hell is this going right now? And so as they get done fighting one another in the midst of all of that, they kiss. And I was like, oh, what just happened? So they look shocked. I'm looking shocked, and then they just like exit game, and I just like, hold up, I think I know where we're going with this. And so it probably would have gave me a cue if I had read prior to watching it, but I went in blind, that the same person who directed the San Junipero episode actually directed this as well. So the twist of the episode is that these two friends are not only reconnecting, but they are using this virtual reality game to now become sexual partners. And so this is where we get into the basic theme of the episode, is them exploring their sexual identities, or even the toxic masculinity of them not wanting to accept who they are, to the point that they would rather go into this virtual reality game to make love to one another, to cuddle, to talk, to do all of these things. But in the real world, they still don't see themselves as actually having a physical or emotional connection with each other in the real world. And I think it's also interesting that Carl chooses to have a female avatar character to really even for somehow just makes sense to him that this is not, we're not gay because I'm a woman in this game and you're a guy, and so we're just like these two avatars just having sex. And so they carry on this relationship, but during the course of all of this, his wife Theo is starting to notice that there is a change in her husband, that he's not having sex with her, he's not kissing her, he's not giving her the physical or emotional intimacy that they once had. So much that all of this comes boiling over when they have their anniversary dinner, which Danny forgot about, where she basically tells him, like, who are you messing with? Like, it seems like you're not in this anymore. I'm here by myself. I had a guy hit on me, and it made me feel good because I'm not getting that from you, my husband. You know, we're supposed to be having this other kid. Like, what is going on? And so Danny, instead of having to actually deal with his emotions, what he's going through with his sexual identity, he decides to just take a clean break from the game, from Carl, and focus on his marriage with Theo. And so all of this comes to a head when we see the dinner scene, which just, I was like, that dinner scene just, that was like, whoa. So Theo invites Carl to dinner for is now Danny's birthday yet again. And so this time there's tension between Carl and Danny because Danny just cut Carl off. He told him, like, hey, I'm done. I'm just focusing on this. We can't do this anymore. This is, like, not okay. And so Carl is basically telling him, like, hey, I've tried sleeping with other people. It is not the same connection. Then my man said, I fucked a polar bear, and it still made me think of you. I said, sir, you slept with a polar bear? Like, we got to talk about that for me. He said, I fucked a polar bear and still couldn't get you out of my head. I said, sir, did he really say that? He really said that. And so that whole dinner scene, then he was like, I know that you missed this pussy. I said, y'all, like, what is happening right now? That whole scene completely took me out. That was the most shocking scene to me. And then he basically tells him, like, I know you missed this. I'm going to be on at midnight. And then basically Danny shows up. They get right back into it. And so when Carl tells Danny that he loves him in the game, this is where things all become a little bit too real, because now this is insinuating that there is also an emotional connection outside of the game. And so the only way that they can really deal with this, Danny decides to tell Carl, meet him in the rain in this alley and they gonna kiss. And then the whole scene of him like, hold up, just give me a minute. Just them struggling with their masculinity and also trying to decipher like this sexual identity crisis that they're going through. And so they say, hey, if we kiss and then if we feel something, then okay, then we have to deal and process our feelings. So I was like, okay, I don't know why you doing all of this to do that, but fine, I'll roll with this. So they kiss, and then they like, man, I didn't feel nothing. He was like, I didn't feel nothing either. I'm like, now you know you lying. You lying. Just like when the first time when they came back to the game, he was like, I was drunk, man, my bad. And he was like, I was drunk too. Why are we making all of these excuses? Just like process your feelings. And so we see that eventually they get into a fight. And then Theo has to pick Danny up from the jail. And she's just like, what the hell is going on? Why are y'all fighting? What happened? And so he tells her, which I find absolutely shocking that he actually tells her what happens. But instead of us actually seeing the conversation, the reactions of him telling her, we then cut to the end of the episode through like the end credits. And we see that they have basically come up with a compromise to every first Sunday of the month, or no, that was Carl saying every first Sunday in the month, but once a month, he's allowed to go have sex with Carl in the game, and then Theo can go get her thing on in real life with whoever she wants at the bar. And so I find this episode so interesting for so many reasons. I think that it was perfect casting to not only the actors that they chose, but to choose Black men, where I think is one of the demographics we're dealing with homophobia, toxic masculinity, all of that is very true and still very hard in the Black community. And I think that it's interesting that even throughout the course of this episode, they still never really process the fact that they have feelings for one another, and that is not the video game. And that even to the point that they choose separate identities to almost make this seem right to them instead of really just processing what's going on. And now everyone might have had an issue with them having the compromise in their marriage that everyone gets this one cheat day out of the month. But I think it's really interesting, not for that, because at the end of the episode, no one has processed any of their feelings. I think that it was great to show Theo. Nicole did a fantastic job portraying as she's starting to look at herself differently. Like, is it how I look? You know, do I need to change something up? Like, what am I doing to make my husband not want me? And because he can't have that real conversation with her, and I don't even necessarily know if once he actually told her that they truly processed what was happening, that the only way to make this work would to be a compromise, which is something that you have to do in marriage, but you're still running away from the issue at hand. And so I just found that very interesting, and almost like I can understand the ending that they gave. It leaves a lot to be imagined for you to fill in your questions, to have your own questions that arise out of this. And I think that this episode will make for great discussions. I don't know if this episode came a little too late for the climate that we're in now, but that was probably the most shocking, shock value episode of Black Mirror, and that's one of my favorite episodes of this season. So those are pretty much my thoughts on that. Now let's get into Smithereens. So Smithereens, this guy, he is basically in a support group. We know that he's lost someone, and he's this driver. He's kind of like an Uber driver, but in the Black Mirror universe. And so he always picks people up outside of this social media company, Smithereens, and he picks up this guy. And so they're driving around, and he was just like, okay, like, where are you going? And he's like, I'm going to the airport. So everything seems fine, but I'm just like, you know, something is really off with him. And so we see that he actually ends up taking this young man hostage. And so the young man's name is Jaden, and Chris, played by Andrew Scott, who does a fantastic job in this episode. He is the driver who's dealing with this loss, but we don't know what his loss has to do in connection with the company. And so as we pick him up, we're quickly going through kind of this hostage crisis as the police discover what's happening. FBI gets involved, then the company gets involved, and so it becomes, you see this hostage situation play out from all these different parties. And so the whole time, he is basically, Chris is promising Jaden, like, you're going to be fine. All I need to do is speak to Billy Bauer, who is the CEO of this social media company. And so as we're watching this play out, even to the part where the company didn't want to let him talk to him, they thought that he was going to extort him, playing all these tricks, like using technology to actually go and listen to what he's saying as he has them on hold. And did anyone think, like, I'd be damned if y'all finna have me on hold this whole time and I didn't told you that I have a gun pulled out on someone? The fact that he was just waiting on hold, I was just like, sir, I can't even wait on hold that long, like in real life. So the fact that you are already have all these emotions going on, you have a gun, I would have escalated that whole situation a lot more quickly than how it played out, because we had to wait for the London office to get a hold of the US office, which is where the CEO resides in the States. And so the whole play out of them getting the legal involved, getting the FBI involved, how really the FBI couldn't do their job because they were still at the mercy of this social media company, it was just all so crazy to me. And so we finally see that the reason that he wants to speak to Billy is because he wants to share his truth. And so he tells him that he was driving, and it was like, you know, he got bored and he got this notification, and then as he's looking at the notification, somebody commented on a picture that he shared. They were hit by a drunk driver. His fiance was in the car. She was killed. And then basically he blames this company for creating this technology that distracts people. But he also, more importantly, blames himself for the death of his fiance. Even though they were hit by a drunk driver, he still feels as though if he wasn't distracted by his phone, by technology, that she would still be here and he would be happy. And so what I find most interesting about this whole situation is that I love that Chris takes responsibility for his role in this situation. Now, they were hit by a drunk driver, but when he calls and speaks to Billy, he's telling him, and then Billy tries to say, you know, this is not what I created it for. And he was like, yo, shut up. Like, I'm not here to like blame you. I'm here to let you know what your company has done and how this technology that you have created has distracted people from being in the present, and it causes situations like this where I cannot get the life of my fiance back. And really, he's telling him that I let your technology consume me, and then I didn't have enough restraint to ignore the text messages, ignore this comment, because I've allowed technology to overcome me. And so this is why I feel as though that Smithereens probably has the best message throughout the course of the 3 episodes, because it relates to the issues that we do have with technology. Also too, the whole situation of the kid being in his phone the entire time, not paying attention to where they were going, even though he did tell him he had to take a detour. Him not paying attention and realizing, like, by the time the car stops and he looks up, he's in this, like, alley. Like, you have to be cognizant of your surroundings. You cannot become too distracted. Because when I'm in my Ubers or my Lyfts, I pay attention. I am not in my phone. I am looking to see where you're going, what that GPS says, leave my door unlocked, because even with the background checks, the situations that we're seeing play out where these companies aren't doing enough to vet their drivers, if someone would have realized that he purchased this account off of the dark web, all of this could have been avoided. So it has like all these dual side messages that are happening at the same time. And then the whole scene where he like basically went off on old dude because he finds out the guy, he's dressed in the suit so he looks like an executive, and that's why he takes him, because he wanted to take someone that's high ranking to where it will get attention and he will get to speak to Billy. And then when the kid tells him he an intern, he was like, sir, why you got on this damn suit? Like, y'all be looking like y'all on a gap year wearing all these crazy clothes. Like, why? And I was just like, when he said gap year, I was like, but you ain't told no lies whatsoever. Like, I felt that. And I definitely laughed when he had this whole little rant. But one of the most powerful parts of the episode, we see that Chris actually he met a lady in a group who lost her daughter. She committed suicide, and she was telling this story of how she's been trying 3 attempts at her daughter's password for her Persona account so she can try to understand why her daughter killed herself. And so it's crazy to think that the company won't allow family members to receive access to the information due to privacy laws, even if, you know, this can be something to help them understand why their child committed suicide, which I thought was absolutely crazy. Like, oh, we're doing a memorial page, but we're not going to help you find any clues or to understand like what your daughter was going through. And so I thought it was really cool that once he gets Billy on the phone, played by Topher Grace, as he's having this conversation, and the guy tells him like, hey, like, don't kill yourself. Like, what do you want me to do? I'll do anything. That he uses this chance. He could have extorted him out of money. Like, he could have thought of all crazy type of things to ask him for, but he chooses to have him call the CEO of Persona and to give the lady the password into her daughter's account, which was even more touching when she realized that the password was from the picture that her daughter's roommate sent to her, that her daughter had in her dorm room, which is the name of a boat that they were on when her and her mom went on vacation together. So I thought that was so touching, and that's why Smithereens really plays at your heartstrings, because it's an important message, it's an important story that needs to be heard. But then with the climax at the end where you see the shot go off, which this is when I got a little mad. So the kid who gets kidnapped, Jaden, so the dude was like, okay, I got my phone call, you can get out the car. Jaden proceeds to sit in the car and be like, no, don't do this, don't kill yourself. I said, fool, if you don't get out this damn car, this man that held you hostage, pulled a gun on you, you throwing up, you all hot and stuff in your suit, he ain't got no air conditioning on in the car, and you want to stay and tell him don't kill himself? Now, I know his story was touching, but I was just like, Jaden, if you die, that's on you, sir, because you should have got your ass out of the car. So he tries to fight him for the gun as he's trying to talk him out of killing himself. And then we hear a gunshot go off, but we don't know what has happened. And so that's really how the episode ends. And I was just like, you know what? If he died, good riddance, because he pissed me off when he stayed in the car. Get your ass out of the car if he told you can get out of the car. So yeah, so that's Smithereens. So the last episode is Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. About this girl, she's obsessed with this pop star played by I almost said Hannah Montana, y'all. Miley Cyrus plays this pop star, Ashley. And so she's introduced this new doll, this robot called Ashley 2. And so the girl, she's moved to a new city. Her mom passed away prior. And really, she only has her dad and her sister now. And so he gets her this doll for her birthday. And the doll is really like a AI of Ashley. She sounds like Ashley. She sings her songs, teach you the dance moves. Now, Ashley, too, knows she was wrong when she was telling her, like, when the girl was dancing, she's like, oh my gosh, you're getting so much better. I said, Beesh, why you lying to this girl and had embarrassed this girl in front of the talent show because the girl was gassing her up so much? I was like, there's a difference of being positive and gassing people up when you know you have no reason to be doing all of that. You embarrassed this girl. So we see that as we're watching how Ashley too is inspiring this young girl, we also see what is really happening in Ashley's life as she is really going through a depression. She feels as though that artistically she can't be herself, that she has to live up to this person who her aunt wants her to be because her parents died and her aunt has been raising her since she was a child. And so we see that she wants to do something better. She's gravitating towards rock music, but she's a pop star. And so we see that she's being controlled in every aspect. We see that her aunt has basically been giving her pills to, I don't know, help with her depression or to make her be more positive so she can create more poppy type happy songs so she can make her more marketable and sell more money. And so we see that there's a scene where she is starting to just be a little bit negative, and then we realize that she's been not taking her medication. She's been stashing all of her medication. And so as all of this comes to a head, she tells her aunt, like, because her aunt was like, were you gonna kill yourself? She's like, no, fool, I was getting this so I can get out from under you, because she has a contract. She has to do whatever her aunt basically tells her to do until she's 25. So she was keeping the medication to show the breach of the contract so she can break out of her contract and just do what the hell she wants to do. And so her crazy aunt, when she said, sit back down, you little ingrate, I said, oh, she sound like a black mama, but I don't know if they would have used ingrate. They probably would have used something else, but I felt that. So we know she poisoned the girl's food and put her into a chemically induced coma that she cannot wake up out of. So you're wondering where is this going, and then you realize that something happens with the Ashley 2 doll. We know that they've been discontinued, but the reason that they were discontinued is because, I don't know if because they were, as she was in this coma, she can actually sync to the dolls, and basically, as they're keeping her in this coma, they're still pulling the songs out of her head, because she says she dreams about her lyrics and then she wakes up and writes them down. So they basically kept her in this coma so they could get another album out of her while taking all of her thoughts, using the technology to create this new album and this new hologram of her performing where they just don't even have to deal with her altogether. So something happens, and so they're trying to, Jack and her sister Rachel, they're trying to fix whatever happened, and they realize that her actual consciousness comes into the doll and she tells her what's going on. And so basically they go and break into the girl's house. They see her, and we think that she's trying to get evidence to prove what is happening, but really she just wanted to put herself out of this misery so they could no longer use her for her music. But what they don't know is that when she unplugs, she's not getting the chemicals anymore. She actually wakes up, and so they break her out. And then, like, everything happens like a happy little ending. And, like, they, like, exposed her aunt for the raggedy woman that she was. And then she got to do her little rock music, which is not on par for a Black Mirror episode, because typically it's a depressing ending. There's no happy endings in Black Mirror. That's the whole purpose of this dark anthology series. But even though they were using the technology, it really felt like this dark twist of like what Miley Cyrus probably really had to go through as a pop star, going from Disney to where she is now, which I think helped make the episode more interesting, entertaining to watch, but it didn't have that Black Mirror feel to it necessarily. So for me, that's why that was kind of my least favorite, but it was still enjoyable to watch. So yeah, so those are my like little spoiler thoughts for all of the episodes of this season. I think that the acting is totally fine throughout the course of the episodes. Maybe episode 3 not so much, because it feels as though Miley is really playing her and not this character Ashley. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much why I feel as though it's a mixed bag. It's still enjoyable to watch and entertaining in certain episodes, but it doesn't have the Black Mirror feel that I'm used to. And so I'll be interested to know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about Black Mirror season 5? Those are my thoughts. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay Your Weight. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.